Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that Green Screens Media train, recording live from somewhere. This is One and Done, your fast break for everything college basketball. On tonight's show, we're going to go ahead and hit on part 3 of 4 of our incoming recruiting class series. Night 1 of the East Coast, whichever way. Who's East? Mike, you're probably east of me right now. Part 1 of 2 of our East Coast, inside the part 3 of 4 of our series. You're here for it, and we appreciate you being here. We're also going to put a spotlight on Kentucky and Louisville classes tonight, along with 5 mid-major commits from across the country and a few news and notes sprinkled in there. Our final show will break down UConn and Duke's incoming classes, other important incoming freshmen on the East Coast, and a rapid-fire segment to end our 4-part series. But that's the next show. On tonight's show, he's recovered from whatever 8-week funk he was in. No, we're just so happy to have him back. Eric the Blue, he is the Baron of Bread of Green Screens Media. You can find him in those Twitter streets at FantasyNav. He is Eric Romoff. Eric, what's happening?
Man, I'm happy to report I have shook my case of the itis, and I'm back here in these college basketball streets. And I mean, maybe the most exciting news that I can offer up right now. Last time Mike and I were here on the live stream, we were a couple subs away from getting to 500. We asked you, we pleaded, we begged, we had our hats in our hands to get over that threshold. And man, y'all delivered. We blew past that number. We're pushing like 510 now. Couldn't do it without all of you. Super, super excited for all of the support. And this thing is going to the moon. So make sure you stay locked here. Appreciate everyone that has been with us along the way. And part of what you'll see in the very near term is more of our interview series. We've got San Diego head coach Steve Lavin queued up, and someone that we talked about off the top of last show, scholarship monster Andrew Parrish, the man who is doing the Lord's work, gathering all of that scholarship information, helping you keep an accurate tab on everyone's transfers. I mean, just the amount of work and consolidation that has gone into that project is insane. So we're going to hear from the source himself. We're going to get him onto the One and Done show, hear about the project, hear about different ways you can use this data, hear about his mindset and how he got it all done. So super excited to continue on with this interview series with Coach Lavin and with Andrew Parrish up next.
Yeah, Lavin and Parrish, those are 2 pretty big gets there. And of course, listen to me giving Eric trouble for missing some shows, and I was out the last one. But it feels so good to be back, and it feels so good to be back with the man we are all here to see, El Capitan himself. He is the captain of the Green Screens Media ship. You should follow him on Twitter right now at MCHolland34. He is the OG Money Mike. Mike Holland, what it do, baby?
Yo. Appreciate the nice little intro there. I have cooked up a top 300 transfer board update with notes that'll be coming out on drroto.com for free. So check that out. It'll be out tomorrow afternoon. And we're under 20 guys on that 300 that do not have a home yet, but expecting here in the next week or so for that all to change. And guys, got to ask you, it's a 1-1. The game just finished. We sticking to our guns here. I think I got Nuggets in 6. Jay, are you still on Miami here? Or on the Nuggets on the 5-1 or the 4-1?
Nuggets in 5. The Miami had their night. That was it. Nuggets run it the rest of the way. Eric, what you got? You sticking heat?
Heat culture, baby. My guys, Miami in 7. The dream is still alive. Jimmy Butler might be the greatest playoff player in the history of the NBA. If he pulls it off, I mean, you can make that argument. And if nothing else, I mean, shout out.
You could.
Shout out to Spoelstra. Shout out to the front office getting a bunch of no-name guys playing up to at least competitive level in the NBA Finals. So it's a far more fun story than this super talented team in Denver winning. So I'll go with the contrarian still.
Yeah, of course you will. Of course you will. Let's get to it right now. If you're hanging out with us, make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Smash them for your old boys on the screen right now, if you will. Do your part in the Green Screens Media universe. We would appreciate that. Tell the hoop heads in your life about what we're doing over here. If you're hanging out with us, make sure you drop us a comment. Let us know you're here. Just say hi, say what's up. If you got a comment about a transferring class that we're going to cover tonight, like Kentucky, who had the #1 ranked class on the 24/7 composite rankings, leave us a comment and let us know. So let's start there, Mike. Of course, Coach Cal doing his thing. Nobody's shocked. Not me, anyway. #1 class here in the composite rankings. Just very, very impressive on paper for sure. But maybe you could tell us a little bit more about how these guys will translate to the college game.
Yeah, so we've got 5 commitments from this 2023 class that are making up a majority of the current Kentucky roster right now, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. And it starts with 5-star Justin Edwards. He is a small forward. Could play some small ball for. He's 6'7", 180 pounds. He is the #3 ranked recruit on the 24/7 composite. Man, he's a lefty. He can really score. He's a really good ISO player. He can slash. And I think the thing we're going to hear a lot, as we've done on all the previous shows, is that he's got to get a little bit stronger. Obviously, 6'7", 180, more of a slider build. But he's going to be very important, as are all these guys. So I think he's probably not only has the highest ranking here, but it's probably the most important guy coming in for this team. Eric, what are your thoughts on Aaron Bradshaw coming in, man? That 5 position's a little different with Sheboy out the door.
Yeah, it is. And Edwards and Bradshaw going back-to-back on our thumbnail for tonight's show, and with good reason, right? Edwards, the #3 overall ranked recruit, and Bradshaw right there next to him, #4. So he's a 7 foot, 210 pound, 5-star center, big-time rim protector, pretty decent offensive game. It's certainly built around vicinity to the basket, right? That's where he's going to shine. Good rebounder, not a great rebounder, right? Which is very much so what's going out the door with Oscar Sheboy. But good mobility for his size, like you see with a lot of kids. Like, his situational awareness can be a little lacking at time. I expect that to really get tightened up over the course of this offseason. And he's going to battle with last year's big man recruit who reclassified, Onyenso, right? He is a 5-star himself. He's supposed to be in this class, decided to come in a year early. So now he has an additional offseason under his belt. So it's really going to be a combination of these two that are filling the void left by Oscar Sheboy. So definitely no shortage of talent there, under the rim and at the 5 spot for Big Blue Nation. But Mike, one spot that we haven't talked about quite yet is the guard position. Who's Coach Cal filling in there?
Yeah, so we got DJ Wagner. He's a combo guard, a 5-star. He's 6'3", 165 pounds, so another slider build guy. These guys are going to need to be ready because a lot of these guys are going to be playing heavy minutes and important minutes. He's really versatile offensively. He's really competitive. He's not a natural point guard, but can play the point if you need him to. He's kind of a tweener as far as size. He needs to improve his 3-point shot. But, you pop on the tape of DJ Wagner, and, he can do a lot of different things on the offensive end. But I think the guy that I'm a little more excited about, and he's ranked a little bit lower. DJ Wagner's #6 overall, which is no slight to him. But Robert Dillingham, Eric, is he's a guy that I'm really impressed with and think he could be special. What about you?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by his ranking as well, right? 15 overall is nothing to sneeze at. Just about every program in the country would be over the moon to secure the services of Robert Dillingham. I think the reason why you and I both are a little bit more bullish on him is he's just much more of a natural point guard, right? He does have a tendency to get a little sloppy and look for his own shot first, but generally speaking, very inept and equipped to run the offense. He's got real good handles. Maybe the best recruiter in the class, if not one of. And if nothing else, he's probably going to be their starting point guard right off the bat, right? Really, the biggest knock against him, 6'2", 165, another guy that's going to need to hit the weight room, maybe slide in a couple extra burgers here or there, a little fourth meal, right? Like these incoming recruits are going to need to bulk up if they're going to be playing significant minutes in the SEC.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can't forget Reed Sheppard. He's a combo guard, more of a wing slash shooter. He's number 40 overall, which, you look at all these guys, all these guys in the top 15, and you have Reed Sheppard here. He's kind of the forgotten man. He's not explosive, but obviously a natural shooter. Shoots 90% from the free throw line. Any team could definitely use that. We know how important in-game situations are. There's some questions defensively with him, but I think you're just getting a really good shooter. And this is a guy that can space the floor with guys like Dillingham that can create, and Edwards can really create from that 3-4 position. So while he might not have the biggest impact this year, I think as he develops over time, we're going to see him, really start to mature and become a really good scorer. But these 5 guys, they might have some company joining them. We have 3-star Jordan Burks, formerly of Ole Miss, that sounds like he's setting up a visit here. 3-star wing Joey Hart also setting up a visit, formerly a UCF commit. So we might get number 6 and number 7 coming in here. So it's going to be a very heavy freshman-led class, even if that doesn't happen. So, Jay, what are your thoughts on this class that we just ran down?
Yeah, it's obvious to me just looking at this roster with really 7 guys on scholarship at this point. Like, this is the number 1 recruiting class, and it's important that they are that talented because they're going to play a lot. You just mentioned, Dillingham is probably going to start day 1. You got 3 guys in the top 6. You've got number 15, and your lowest person in a 5-man class is number 40, along with. This is impressive. All right, let me throw this one out there. Maybe it's not Fab 5. Let's just float it out there. Okay. The ceiling of this group, if Coach Cal pushes all the right buttons, could maybe be Fab 5. It might not be that far, but if Coach Cal doesn't get any quality transfers in, which I think we feel like he's going to get somebody here before the window is done. But these are 5 guys, Mike and Eric, that they are going to depend on a lot. So let me ask you both this. With the roster as it currently stands, Mike, I'll start with you. Is there enough talent on Kentucky's roster as it stands to make the tournament?
I will say yes. It's tough to say it, but when you're going to rely on these 5 guys, really 4 of them are going to play a ton of minutes regardless of kind of what else happens. We're still waiting on Antonio Reeves. If he ends up coming back to Kentucky, I feel like they're going to be in the tournament. If he does not and we don't land, Jay Kaluma's got Kentucky on the list, but if you just land the other 2 freshmen and maybe get a couple of other transfers that aren't top 300 type guys, I think you have enough to squeeze in. So, man, I don't know. I feel like when you have this many 5-stars, he's shown in the past too that he's brought in. This is the first time he's brought in 3, 4, 5 5-stars, right, and made it happen. So, you have almost every position covered from that standpoint. Now you just wonder about some of these guys putting on weight, Eric. Like, they're going to have log heavy minutes, man, unless you get Kaluma or get Reeves back. So are they getting in? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I tend to think they're going to squeak in, right? First you look at their conference. The SEC is going to be tough again, but pretty top heavy again, right? Like I think there are a couple of teams that are clearly head and shoulders above and pretty wide open after that. Kentucky can certainly slot into that spot. The thing that's tricky and where I'll give Coach Cal all the credit in the world, if anybody is going to do it with a pile of freshmen, it's Coach Cal, right? Like you think about when we were getting ready for tournament time, last February and into March, one of the biggest knocks we always had on some of these teams is how much they relied on big minutes for freshmen. That is almost universally the case, except for Coach Cal. This guy has a way of getting the most out of these young guys, getting them into playing shape and getting them ready for the big time in short order. So all of those things combined, I do think that they squeak their way in, but I think we're looking at a bubble team yet again.
Jay, what are your thoughts, man?
I told you the ceiling, what I thought, the ceiling could be if Coach Cal pushes all the right buttons. The floor, unfortunately, is missing this tournament. And I think it's very possible that Kentucky is on the outside looking in after this year, in spite of the ceiling of these 5 players in front of you and everybody else that's on that roster. Going to be a tough one for Kentucky for sure.
Hey,
all right.
That guy Sam the Sniper is jumping in. SEC
Yeah.
talk.
We can't say SEC without him jumping in. The Auburn faithful, ready for the Final Four run.
Final 4 run incoming. Love it. Same with the Sniper. Welcome back. Welcome back. Good to see you again.
In now. That's going to be a good
pretty good
number.
odds there.
Yeah. No kidding.
Okay.
Thanks for dropping a comment in. If you're hanging out with us and you want to say hi, you should do that. But also let us know the answer to the question that I asked the guys a little bit earlier. With the way that the roster sits right now as Kentucky, will they make the tournament? Right there, you see it flashed up on your screen. It's prompted. It's in the chat. You let us know what you think. Right there is the answer to that question. We would love to hear from you. And if you like what you're hearing, get up on the top rope and smash that subscribe button. Yeah, we cleared 500, but we're going to the moon. Yeah. All right. There we go. We got it in. Team number 2 today that we are breaking down, the Louisville Cardinals with the number 6 rated class 24/7 composite rankings. Head coach Kenny Payne out there doing his thing. Mike, break down this class for me, and then or break down the top player in this class for me, I should say. A 5-star small forward.
Yeah, Trenton Flowers, number 22 overall. So a little different than Kentucky. Got to spark that up in case there's any Louisville and Kentucky fans watching the show tonight. We know that rivalry very well. But Trenton Flowers, man, reclassified, and he's very young, but he's an explosive athlete. Can stretch the floor. He's 6'8", 210. Probably needs to add a little bit more weight, obviously, like a lot of these guys. He's a very dynamic wing. I think, when he gets to school, he's going to get a ton of run here because, honestly, this Louisville team needs all the help that they can get, and they need to develop these players fast if they want to get back to where they want to be. And I think a lot of that starts with Flowers as well as Dennis Evans, Eric. Really high on both of these guys. What say you on Evans here?
Yeah, I'll see your 6'8", 210 with Trenton Flowers. And I'll raise you to 7'1", 210 with Dennis Evans, the 4-star center, number 27 overall. Obviously, we're looking for this young man to put on a little bit more mass, but 7'1" is 7'1", and that makes him a major force on defense. He's a big-time shot blocker. On the offensive side, it's a little clunky, right? Like, doesn't exactly have the touch around the rim that you're looking for. His footwork can probably be cleaned up a little bit, but overall shows decent mobility for a player of his size, and he should challenge for the starting center spot right off the bat, right? So Evans comes in and is in line for a pile of minutes. Another guy that is probably going to factor in pretty quickly is the 4-star wing, number 72 overall.
Yeah, that's Kaleb Glenn, and probably, well, maybe the next guy might be my favorite, but Kaleb Glenn, one of my favorites of this class, and he's been committed since 2021 during the Chris Mack, that whole thing when it blew up. But he's 6'6", 200. He's a very strong kid. He's versatile inside and out on offense. He's a hometown kid. He's going to be a factor immediately on that wing. And one thing that Payne went out and did is he got a bunch of wings, man. So he's going to have options here. Obviously, Louisville, ton of turnover last year. Things didn't quite go the way that the way that Payne wanted to in year one. But Curtis Williams is another wing, about the same size as Kaleb Glenn. Eric, do you think these two are going to battle it out for some minutes here?
Yeah, I do. To your point a second ago, I think Kenny Payne has done a really good job of bringing in a bunch of versatility at the wing position. Curtis Williams included in there, right? 4-star wing, 6'6", 205 pounds, number 76 overall. And I think a lot of it's going to come down to almost kind of situational, game planning, right? With Williams, he's a guy that can come in and shoot the three. He's very strong and brings a sense of toughness on the defensive end, kind of a 3-and-D guy, but also really aggressive attacking the basket, That defense extends all the way to the perimeter. So feels like he's a guy that does the type of things that coaches like to give minutes out for, but also with so many young wings, there's going to be games where it makes sense to give Glenn a little bit more run. There's going to be games where it makes sense to give Williams a little bit more run, but ultimately pretty heavy rotation at the small forward spot, and that includes Williams, the fifth man in this six-man recruiting class. Another four-star, the point guard, got Kenny Payne, sticking in the 70s with Johnson coming in.
Man, they're going to start calling him Kenny Mayne if Tyler Johnson here really starts the ball out at 6 foot 160. Number 7, Kenny Payne Mayne, number 77 overall. The size, 6 foot 160. Kind of a microwave type scorer, as we like to say, one of Jay's favorites. Likes to get up and down. There's some questions what he can do defensively, but I think you're going to have to be patient with him as he goes his game at the collegiate level. I think he's going to really be able to make some noise. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it year one, though. So, look for Johnson to potentially, push for a few minutes. I don't think it's going to be anything consistent, though, especially if this team starts to come together. It might take another year for him to kind of crack that. But there's a guy coming in from the JUCO ranks that scored a lot of points, Eric. Tell us about little Koron Davis here.
Yeah, Koron Davis coming in. He is a shooting guard, 6'7", 185. You mentioned he's coming in from the junior college ranks, so not ranked nationally. I mean, he filled it up, right? He scored a ton of buckets there in the JUCO ranks. He's good from three, solid at the line, really good size for a playmaker. This feels like the type of kid that's really just looking for his opportunity to burst on the scene, and with as much turnover as there's been for Louisville, this might be that opportunity, right? He should get a little bit more run. Obviously not the toughest competition there in JUCO, but experience is not anything to be sneezed at, and that time on the court should translate to additional run here for Louisville. Before we get into our closing thoughts on Louisville, let's go 2 times to Samuel the Sniper. He did answer our question. He thinks that Kentucky has enough to make it into the tournament because of the talent and experience of Coach Cal, but also kind of an upset here. Thinks Louisville might mess around and make their way into the tournament as well. Loves their portal pickups. Obviously, a star-studded class. Mike, what are your thoughts about either of these takes from Samuel the Sniper planting his flag?
Yeah, I think you can plant the flag there for Kentucky. I don't know about Louisville, Jay. Like we saw the mess last year, man. I don't know, Jay. What do you think about
it's going to be tough here. Listen, with Payton has that full year under his belt now, he sort of knew the patience that would be necessary, to give Coach Payton a little bit of time to turn this around. He's basically flipped the talent on the entire roster with this class. So I think that alone can probably get in there. But look, it's still a blue blood. Flowers is going to be a part of this. Evans is 7 feet tall, and you can't teach that. I'll ask you from here. Our guy Samuel the Sniper said that they're going to make the tournament. So let me pose this question to you both. Will Louisville win double-digit games?
Oh,
Eric,
boy.
Eric, let me come to you. Let me come to you on this one first here. Let us know what you think. Drop it in the comments, too, if you're watching as well. Eric, what do you think? Louisville win at least 10 games?
They won 4, so this would be 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, 10 games doesn't sound like a lot, but that is a big leap from 4 games last year. They did have some uncharacteristically bad losses last year, right? So maybe you project those to flip the other way. And Samuel, I know you got them going to the tournament. I don't think I'm riding with you. I see them winning 10 games, right? Like ACC basketball is incredibly tough year in and year out, and it is the inverse of what my case was for the Kentucky Wildcats, right? Like there's probably one coach that I trust to do it with all freshmen, and Coach Cal is not on the sidelines for the Louisville Cardinals, right? So I do think that this is a very strong class. I do think that this is the first step in the Cardinals making their way back to prominence, but I think year one expectations need to be tempered.
Yeah, I think to make himself a lot of money if he exceeds expectations this year with this young team, though, right? Like he'll be in line for a raise. Mike, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, good point. And we're not gonna rely as heavily as Kentucky would on these freshmen. I mean, you got Brandon Huntley Hatfield's coming back. He's very experienced. Played at Tennessee the year before. Sky Clark's coming over from Illinois. We liked his game at Illinois. He'll be a sophomore. Trey White was kind of a surprise, headed over to Louisville. He's probably going to get a ton of minutes. 6'7", 210 coming in from USC. That Bronny James deal probably had him looking for additional run come next year. So whereas Kentucky, it looks like it's going to be freshman led, and there's not really another option. At least Louisville's going to have other guys here, but I'll go over like Eric said. I mean, there's some uncharacteristic losses, and then you factor in just Payne having a year under his belt, getting more talent in. I think they'll get to 12, 13, 14. I don't know, Jay. I don't know if they get to 17, 18, 19. Man, everything would have to come together. Where are you at on this?
I'm gonna take these. I'm gonna actually say that they push, that they get right on 10. That's gonna be my bold prediction here. Is that Louisville will improve from last season, and Kenny Payne will do his thing. These freshmen are gonna get some valuable playing time. I do think that they'll get their run, just because they won't be that great throughout the season, and Payne's gonna want to get them some experience. Like you said, Eric, in that tough conference, like that's invaluable. Go ahead, Eric. What?
The push, like you're hoping everyone's gonna play their hardest and have fun, learn life lessons.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Look,
over.
10 wins from 4 is a.
If you're Louisville faithful, let us know in the comments what y'all's expectations are.
I'll go over. Then I'll go 11. I just can't see them not winning 10 games.
Right.
I'll go 11. Then I'll go over. Louisville wins over under 10. I'm taking the over, even though when it comes back at 10, let's bookmark. Let's tell the producers to bookmark this one. You got it? Okay. All right. When they get 10, we'll mark the tape for sure. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us today, talking Kentucky, talking Louisville, recruiting, and how it's going to form those rosters and work into the regular season with a couple of good coaches there. Make sure you smash those like and subscribe buttons. I'm hanging out tonight with two of the best in the busy, Fashizzy, Mike Holland at MC Holland 34, Eric Romoff on those Twitter streets at Fantasy Now. Follow your boys. Do your thing. I am Jay Heinrich, the conductor of the aforementioned Green Screens Train. Follow me on Twitter at Dr. William Cannon. If you want, if you don't, it's okay. Starting to get a little more active with the Astros talk. Like I said, like if you don't like that, don't hit my mentions talking trash cans and stuff like that, please. But actually, you can. I embrace all the hate. Kind of have to at this point. But thanks for hanging out with us. Let's move on now to the mid-major commitments across the country with some high-rated mid-major commitments, the highest-rated mid-major commitments, on 247 composites. Mike, go ahead, man. These rankings are when I was looking at these notes, these are higher than I thought they were going to be in terms of the overall ranking.
Yeah.
Start us off here with the 3-star power forward.
Yeah, Mayar Wall, 6'8", 190, going to Charleston. We know Charleston, obviously, from the tourney. Won 30 games last year. This guy's a 3-level scorer, great length at 6'8", 190, very versatile defensively. I mean, he's not strong, but he's really quick on the glass, so he should be able to snatch up some rebounds. And he's just got so much upside. He's number 164 on the 24/7 composite. A guy that's even smaller in stature. Eric, tell us about Florida Gulf Coast new addition.
Yeah, those Florida Gulf Coast Eagles, another tournament darling from not that long ago. Go ahead and pick up Rahmir Barno. You mentioned he's a bit undersized. That's probably a bit of an understatement. 5'11", 155 pounds. getting some Mighty Mouse vibes here. And really the story for him, he comes in as a 3-star, 157 overall. Almost all of that has to do with size, right? This guy's 6'1", this guy's 15, 20 pounds heavier. I do think he would have a much higher recruiting profile, really good handles. He can finish in traffic and almost kind of gets lost in the sea of all the bigs out there and just pops out near the rim, right? So good vision. You can shoot from three, really just contributes in a lot of different ways. And I think the Eagles faithful are going to be happy to have him there. He should have a massive role here for the Gulf Coast in the season to come. Next guy up, another 3-star in the mid 150s. Mike, tell the people about Sonny Wilson.
Yeah, Sonny Wilson headed over to Coach Kowalczyk at Toledo. He's number 155. He's 6 foot 150. Basically the new Ray J. Dennis. As Dennis, we talked about the other day, going over to Baylor. They're looking for a leader and a floor general, and that's what he is. He's the Michigan Gatorade Player of the Year. Can create a lot of space. He's got a quick release, very fluid athlete. So yeah, I'm looking forward to him and Coach Kowalczyk's offense, which is high pace, get up and down the floor, shoot a lot of threes, get to the hoop. Like it's going to be fun, and they're going to need him, to kind of step up here. But and another guy here, another 3-star in the 150s here, Tyler Bay. Eric, what are your thoughts on him going to Missouri State?
Yeah, Missouri State Dub Bears picking up a 3-star prospect there at the wing, 6'8", 175 pounds, 153 overall. Kind of interesting that he chose Missouri State. He had some big-time offers out there, so seems to put a premium on getting some of that guaranteed playing time early, which he should have plenty of there for the Bears. I mean, he's a very good rebounder, kind of one of these high-motor 3-and-D type guys. And Missouri State, they're returning their top 3 scorers from last year, but those guys all kind of shade more towards the backcourt. So plenty of run is available in the front court for Bay, the wing, the 3-star wing. And our last player here, another 3-star wing coming in. Mike, close us out.
Yeah, we got a guy that broke the 150, number 149, Kevin Patton Jr., small forward, 3-star, 6'6", 190, going to San Diego. So maybe we'll have a chance to talk to Coach Lavin about him. He's a natural wing. He runs the floor really well. Very efficient scorer. He can guard multiple positions. And that size, man, you like it. And there should be a pretty good opening of minutes, out there for the Toreros. So looking forward for him to do some quality things there. But Jay, let's get you in here, man. Give us some thoughts on maybe 2-3 of these guys. What's cooking with some of these commits for you?
Like Sonny Wilson's going to play a big role for Coach Kowalczyk. We understand that, right? Toledo's losing 4 of their 5 starters. Wilson's a guy that's just going to slide in day one for the Rockets, and the Tide Father, as we lovingly call him, and as well as his extremely large fan base out there in Toledo, is going to need him. So Wilson, for sure, will play a significant role at Charleston as well, just because of the skill set that he brings to the table. And again, remember, this is the same Charleston team that made the tournament last year out of the Colonial. So, we'll just give him a nice jolt there. And then, Patton playing a ton early with San Diego, bringing in 6 freshmen, sort of hitting that restart button under Lavin in year 2. So, again, Wilson, Wall, and Patton, I think, are 3 guys that I will be interested in following at this mid-major level as well. So, this is, again, we love to cover the mid-majors. We love to talk about the mid-majors. We love to play the mid-majors in DFS. So make sure that, as we push through the offseason, we're bringing you all this content with recruiting, with transfer portals, with coach interviews and all that stuff. Just remember that once the season starts as well, we will be hitting up our DFS shows. And there are very few in the business that do that better than our guys right here below me as OL. So make sure that you check us out for that. All right, what else do we got, gentlemen? Anything else before we move on from these mid-major recruits?
Oh, Sam the Sniper, man, he's feeling himself tonight. How about that Auburn-Baylor game to start the season? Well, it's a little more interesting now that Ray J. Dennis is going to Baylor.
Yeah.
And what if Baylor gets Grant Nelson?
Well, I mean, I just got to ask you, Mike, how do you feel about your Baylor Bears in that situation? I couldn't help it. Yeah, Auburn, Baylor for sure, man. That's one to start the season off there. Eric, anything else from these mid-majors before moving on to some news and notes?
No, I think we sort of hit it off the top, right? Like a really talented recruiting class, both these 5 guys coming in. And just overall, we're seeing more and more guys choose the mid-majors for themselves. So We'll definitely be covering them, but a solid 5-pack there up at the top.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move on to some news and notes. Make sure you smash those like and subscribe buttons if you like what you're hearing. We'd appreciate that. Kansas 4-star combo guard Chris Johnson decommits. Eric, I'm going to go to you first. What are we making of Johnson's situation?
Yeah, a lot of mouths to feed there for the Jayhawks. So not all that surprising that we see a little bit of leakage in this case. Chris Johnson decommits, former 4-star guard. Pretty solid list of teams: Illinois, Memphis, Texas in the mix. Potentially Ole Miss, right? Just because it seems like Chris Beard is in the mix for pretty much any talent that hits the market. Overall, Johnson, not the best shooter out there, but really solid playmaker. Do think that he can contribute at a high level for a number of different programs. And because we have beat the Mike's Baylor Bears gag into the ground, I will go right back to you, Mike. Anytime that Texas is named on the short list for a player, my thoughts immediately go to you. What are your thoughts about Chris Johnson?
I think Texas has a good shot here. Arkansas stated to be in this too. I'm like, how many guards does Arkansas need? I don't understand. But the 3 that make the most sense are kind of the 3 that you listed up front. Illinois needs a point guard. We talked about the funny meme we saw the other day with Curbelo in an Illinois jersey. They need a pass-first point guard. Texas could really use a solid guard off the bench that can distribute. Probably prefer more of a shooter for Texas off the bench, a la like a Jabari Rice. Maybe not quite him because he was out of nowhere, it felt like. Didn't really see that ceiling last year. And then Memphis, has racked up a ton of talent, a ton of length. Guys that kind of play like Penny. To get someone that's more of a pass-first type guard would be a good fit for Memphis as well. So, look, he might not have the biggest impact no matter where he goes, except for maybe in Illinois. But I still think like Terrence Shannon, you're going to run through, is going to have the ball in his hands a lot. Epps going to have the ball in his hands a lot. Coleman Hawkins, you can play through him. So, these teams that are in it, with Kansas, you're just constantly going to be going up against five-star, guys, top 25 transfers coming in. So, getting to an Illinois or a Memphis where you can kind of grow and develop your game, get some minutes, and then maybe the following year be set up for success. So I'm really looking at Illinois and Memphis, and I can see Texas sneaking in there to do that. Jay, any thoughts on what happened here with Kansas and Bill Self not being able to hold on to them?
We're seeing it more and more where guys are just, not fitting in, realizing that there's, seeing the writing on the wall, I should say, and just finding their way out. If maybe Texas will let Dillon Mitchell shoot a little bit, that could be a possibility by the videos that have been on the internets accordingly. Speaking of shooters for sure, but no, man, that's a situation we're going to see more and more often as these teams just try to live through the portal, and we're seeing it. The game is changing already. These roster turnovers year after year. It's not ever going to not once we get rid of the COVID year, I think this is the last year that I think people can use that COVID year, so that it'll be a little bit different. But again, it's here. This is what college basketball is going to look like, and some guys like Johnson are just going to be the odd man out. So let's figure out another one here. Let's talk about Dillon Jones back for Weber State. Tell us a little bit about Jones, Eric.
Yeah, this was a huge hold for Weber State. Dillon Jones absolutely filled it up. Almost 17 points, almost 11 boards, almost 4 assists for them last season. They were one of the teams that we enjoyed talking about as we were previewing the Big Sky tournament. And now they return the Big Sky Player of the Year, right? So these Wildcats, I mean, they have to feel like they are at least among the contenders for the Big Sky title this year. Mike, just how big of a hold was this for Weber State, and how does it change the profile for their conference?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think it does give them I don't know, it'll be close. Like we like the Eastern Washington team. I think he actually was either second or third in that one, but he has a chance to be Big Sky Player of the Year this coming year. We know Still Ventures headed over to Gonzaga, filled that spot, but he should be the front runner coming back. So yeah, look, anytime you get a player of this caliber, the fact that he didn't jump in the transfer portal, man, this is this is big news for old Weber State here. So expect him to put up identical numbers and be crowned the Big Sky Player of the Year this coming year. Jay, any thoughts? Are you with us on him being that and Weber State kind of being one of the contenders with Eastern Washington?
Yeah, I really like that Eastern Washington squad. That's we've talked about them, and we've talked about, don't they play BYU at some point this year? Isn't that what we were looking at when we were talking about maybe taking a trip out to Provo? Maybe we can circle that one on the calendar, gentlemen. Maybe some long-term planning, perhaps. But Jones will be important for Weber State for sure. Let's move on now to this last little bit of news here, which I feel like at this point we might have buried the lead a little bit here. And this is right before we came on the air, right before we went live today. Missouri landed Oral Roberts forward Connor Vanover. This is big for Dennis Gates, guys. So Eric, I'll start with you one last time here. Break down this Vanover move. This is a big get for Gates and the Tigers.
Yeah, a huge get, both figuratively and literally. Vanover, 7'3", absolutely stuffed the stat sheet last year. Almost 13 points, 7.2 boards, better than 3 blocks per game. Just anything getting around the rim was getting that swat. I mean, obviously, a massive human being. His block stats are obviously supporting this. Can definitely defend the rim, but also can kind of sneak out and shoot from range a little bit too, right? Kind of interesting profile in the things that he can do on the court. Will be really interesting to see what Dennis Gates does with him. This is a player, he's coming from Oral Roberts, but he did have a little bit of time in the SEC, played sparingly with Arkansas. So if nothing else, a little bit of a homecoming story here back to the high majors. Mike, anything in particular that stands out to you about Vanover and how Gates might deploy him?
Yeah, he needed a big man for sure, especially with Kobe Brown staying in the draft. We saw how well he played last year. We played a ton of them in DFS. Vanover, now really experienced, hopefully can put on just a little bit more weight as he's tried to fill out over the past 3-4 years. Very wiry player, loves to shoot a bunch of threes, which really fits Dennis Gates' system. So I think he's going to be in line for a similar year in production, even though he's moving up, back to the high major ranks. So, really excited to see what he does in that Gates system. And I think our guy Samuel the Sniper, he doesn't want to stop the Baylor talk here for my Baylor Bears, saying that Ray J. Dennis reminding him of Jalen Brunson, the way he kind of backs his defenders down. So, if you haven't watched Ray J. Dennis, he's kind of a throwback point guard. So, I see him, getting a shot in the league and playing really well. So, also he's looks like he's very excited that Janai Broom getting to dominate next year. Hopefully, if he plays 35 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. This kind of reminds me of the Big Ten last offseason, right? We looked up and basically all the big men had headed out the door, right? It's going to be the case here for the SEC. I mean, Broom, if he ever gets the run, he's got the skill set to just completely dominate a game. So, Coach Pearl, if you're listening, and I know you are,
35 minutes.
let the big man cook.
Yes, 30, not 32, not 33, 35 minutes.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 35 minutes. Play him, do it. Gentlemen, admire how the time flies when you are just having such a great time here on One and Done. That's the show. What a show. How about it, guys? Next show, we've got Duke and UConn to close it out, of course. The second part of the East Coast part of our series, which will be the fourth part of 4 total of the series. I was told there would be no math. However, I forced it in there at the end anyway. You know what else was 4? I was thinking of another 4 earlier. That's how many games that Cal won last year. You know, the coaches at Cal.
There you go. So they couldn't.
Yes.
Not one show. The Pac-12 wasn't even on this slate.
They are now, baby. They are now.
Man, blocking
They are
bridge.
now.
My guy
You knew I was
finds
gonna-
a way.
You knew I was going to fit it in. Eric, any last thoughts on tonight's show?
And ton of fun getting over here to the eastern part of the country. Like I mentioned before, it is jam-packed with teams, but really exciting to break down 2 of the premier recruiting classes in all of the game and as well as the East Coast. And excited for next time out. Going to talk about some diaper dandies, baby.
Diaper dandies, baby. More diaper dandies for you guys. So looking forward to it. We're going to talk Duke and UConn, but we haven't forgot about some other East Coast schools out there. So we'll jump on some of these, some of these other guys that we think are going to make a big impact. So, if you're, oh my goodness, this guy, our guy Jay has like such an obsession with Jackson Shellstaff.
Shout out, Shout out, Jackson
I think
Shellstaff,
Jay's
He's just move out west, man.
He's going to be our Pac-12 correspondent, right?
Why not? I heard the weather's nice. Should definitely
Can't beat
give it a go. Gentlemen, this was good. Proving again that you two are 2 of the absolute best in the business. He is Eric the Blue, the Baron of Bread of Green Screens Media. You can find him in those Twitter streets at FantasyNav. That's Eric Romoff. The other guy in this wonderful show alongside me here, the OG Money Mike. You can follow him on Twitter at MCHolland34. He is El Capitan himself, the captain of the Green Screens Media ship. I am Jay Heinrich, the conductor of the aforementioned Green Screens Media train. One and done, baby. Toss it. Flown it. Own it. Work it. That's right. This is what you've been watching. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Sammy the Sniper, you're the man. Thanks for hanging out with us in the chat. We appreciate you. And until next time, have a nice day. And let's get this bread.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.